Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode. Today we have Prasanna at Work Theatre. Thank you for coming, Prasanna. It's
Thank you for having me over.
it's very exciting to have you here. And today we're going to talk about real estate and homes.
Of course,
I feel you
excited.
can, give some good insights to our audience based on your experience. But firstly, I want to understand what was the story when you got into real estate. How did you get started?
So, yeah, I'm a second generation realtor to start off things with. So, my family has been into the development of land in Tamil Nadu, but I wasn't interested in that side of that aspect of real estate. And through some home buying process in Bangalore is when I understood the primary market, which is the developers' inventories in Bangalore. And I felt that I could add value there by being a realtor who would be able to be empathetic and understand a buyer's needs and connect them with the right properties, and that's how the journey in real estate started.
Nice. That's like super interesting. Okay, now let's understand your typical work day. So in a typical day, uh, how do you manage your time?
So a real estate profession generally comes either as a commission based role or as a salary based role. Of course, in a salary based role, people would be motivated by the organization itself and they are given tasks and things like that. But in the kind of role that I am associated in, and or the organization that I am associated with, and things like that, it's more a self motivated role. So, uh, a typical day can become completely wasted and with no tasks at all if one isn't motivated by themselves. So yeah, I generally try to start my day off with trying and prospecting for more clients, and of course I stay updated on the happenings in the market with respect to the new launches or the inventory updates and things like that. And of course follow-ups with the existing clients also, but these three things are utmost important for a realtor on a daily basis.
Okay, so let's say for client meetings, I think you use a certain software or something, or is it that organized, or is it not that organized still?
See, typically in India we don't see real estate being that organized as a sector itself, and on top of that we are talking about the intricate details as to scheduling meetings and all. And we all know Bangalore traffic. It's a common joke, but yeah. So it's very difficult to actually set up a meeting and show up at the right time, at least for the clients, if not for us, because for them, it's a home buying process. They would be willing to. I mean, they would be interested to get their family and kids along as well, parents along as well. So they would schedule an appointment at 2 p.m. They would show up at 3 p.m. So even if you organize, it still goes out of the park. But then, like, yeah, we do try and use some tools such as Calendly to set up our showings, at least in the luxury segment space. For properties which are more in the investment aspect, or you know, something like a plotted development,
Okay.
or something like apartments in Devnali. These things have a large footfall where scheduling doesn't work.
Okay.
So you just have to be at site and you pick up 5 customers on the same day, and
Oh, that's
things like
crazy.
that happen.
Okay.
But at least for end user luxury products, you can schedule to an extent. Yes.
Okay. So you spoke of luxury like segment, right?
Right.
What is that price bracket wherein a property would be considered as a luxury property?
Okay. So
In Bangalore, you can
yeah, of
speak
course,
with
in
respect to
Bangalore.
Bangalore. Yeah.
So uh, in Bangalore, luxury segment is anything above 2 CR, we can say. So 2 CR to 4 CR, you can consider it to be luxury. And the way the prices are going in Bangalore, trending right now, any apartments, anything which is a 3 BHK unit, you will need to shell out that much. So a good end use apartment has become a luxury living by itself already. So 2 to 4 CR, you can say, yes. But anything above that is ultra luxury.
Okay. So now that you are a second generation, realtor in the family, what was your first sale like? I just want to know the story.
So, uh, you know, there's something interesting about the kind of properties that I deal with. So I don't try to sell anything which is in the investment side of things. For example, plotted development or 50, 60 lakhs, 1 BHK, 2 BHK apartments and things like that. Uh, Maybe that's because this is not new to my family. So I've always focused on the end user luxury segment, and my first sale was also there itself. So even though I'm from the same family, I am a fresher to real estate, right? So it was exciting for me to start dealing with projects which are above 3 crores, and my first deal was about 2.65 cr,
Mm-hmm.
and there are some key takeaways that I took from that deal itself.
Okay,
Yes.
so what was the margin on that? Like, what was the percentage, if you
You
can
want me
share?
to reveal my profits? but
No, what is the
but yeah,
typical margin like
but yeah, in
in
real
case?
estate it's an open secret.
Okay,
Any primary sale would fetch you something between 2 to 3.5%.
okay, okay.
Meaning
Interesting.
meaning anything from the developer would get you 2 to 3.5%. So a property that you sell which is 3 crores worth would give you something between 6 to 10 lakh, 11 lakh rupees. Yes.
Okay. So now let's talk about trust. So people buy products or services from people they trust
Right.
in some way, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how in this real estate space, so how did you build trust with your clients?
Very good question though. So, uh, see, it's highly important that we only deal with reputed brands. So, a lot of developments are happening not just in Bangalore, multiple cities, but as a realtor, it's important that we associate ourselves with good names, good brands, and the the developers are protected through multiple layers when some projects go sour if they aren't able to complete. But as realtors, we are out on the market, so our names can also get tarnished by
Okay.
selling a product which may not get completed and things like that. So when you start associating with the right names in the market, of course the clients will also trust you. That is one thing. But apart from that, when you have started interacting with new clients or leads, and we've got some meetings with them, it's first important to understand what they are looking for. Sometimes a client may be looking at a specific product A, and their requirement might still not suit that, and they may be looking at, I mean, you they wouldn't even know about a specific product B. But it is important that we educate them on
Mm-hmm.
why they should go for B, even though, let's say, you make lesser money in B
Mm-hmm.
than selling them whatever they are looking at. But if we are able to give insights like that, where they are also able to understand and benefit more on the home buying, yeah, you build trust that
So
way.
you want to put the clients first and think about their requirements first.
Absolutely, because this is a role where you are matching the buyer's needs to the inventory in the market. So we can't look at, I sell this, I make this, so I will sell only this.
Correct.
There has to be limits as to how much we would go for the client, but still, that's how it works. We have to be empathetic. Yes.
Okay. So, based on your experience as a realtor, what advice would you give to someone who wants to enter this space?
See, real estate in India typically is unorganized, like I said, and also a realtor's role also is not bound by any education, or there are no education requirements and things like that. Of course, RERA license is something that you need, a realtor's license, but when you join an organization, you can just use their license and you can go ahead, and it's pretty easy to
Oh,
get as well.
okay.
But so because it's there are no specific education uh, packages or programs that are in the market available. There are some modern day platforms and realtors who have been able to sell some courses and get things going to build a team, and so it's essential that you start taking up those trainings to understand how this market technically works before you start as a realtor. And I think those trainings are still important. It can't be neglected because the industry is also being formalized and formalized by some startups and
Okay.
some
So,
organizations.
what is
Yes.
that training like? let's say, I mean, is there a formal realtor training or stuff
No,
like
that's
that?
the thing. There is no formal education. Of course, there is something called RICS by, it's RICS is an organization, but yeah, Amity runs that in India. But that is for the, you know, the top management level. For a realtor, there is no formal education who is on the field every day. So anyone who is an engineer or a doctor or arts graduate or
Anyone?
anyone can just
Yeah.
pick up this role and start doing it, right? Even a housewife. So uh, so it's important that you first understand the nitty-gritties. There is no formal education. Yes.
Okay.
I mean to I mean to say that the basic skills of negotiation, the basic skills of prospecting for a client,
Mm-hmm.
and something like dressing up right when
Mm-hmm.
presenting yourself right to a client or the seller or even the builder. So these things matter. So you can just go through a training for those things, and if you already have it in you, you still don't need it, of course. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the same.
Yeah, that's quite insightful. So basically, anyone can enter it, but there are some prerequisites.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, otherwise you
basic
would get
stuff.
kicked out of the industry based on your behavior itself, because you
Okay.
wouldn't be able to sustain. So you wouldn't be able to close deals or come across right with clients. So it can backfire, right? So
Now let's talk about the buyer side, right? There are certain platforms that we do have, which are, mostly focused towards the buyers in India. Like there's a huge inventory, huge digital inventory of like homes, properties, like all kinds of properties, right? But I mean, the way I see it is there is hardly any platform that focuses on the realtor side of things, where things can be more organized. So, do you think there is room for growth in that?
So yeah, there are a lot of platforms, today that are trying to take real estate into a D2C angle, like how we have for consumer products. But we need to understand that no matter what happens, real estate is a market that is driven majorly by word of mouth, referrals, and reputation and things like that. When these happens with the rise of AI, maybe we'll have robots guiding clients at properties tomorrow.
Hmm.
But it's still important that an empathetic role is performed by an agent to understand where exactly they're looking to buy a property, what is their budget, and things like that. And also, there are more intricate details in a market like India, such as Vastu. There are people
Mm-hmm.
saying that I want the window facing such angle. So you can't really make all these things completely
So, such
digital,
alterations
right?
are not possible. I mean, let's say someone wants to shift windows in an apartment. Is it even possible?
So it used to be possible, but with more advancement in the construction techniques and the rapid construction that developers are able to implement today, it's not possible. And also answering your question about the platforms again, so I think it's important that more and more platforms should come up where realtors are able to benefit more, or benefit more in terms of not monetary benefit, but in terms of their work, tools that can help them organize their work and serve the clients better. I think there is a lot more to be done there in that market. Yes.
Okay, that's quite insightful. And now let's talk further about buyers. So, what in the current market, what do buyers look for in a home?
See, if we are talking about a home as an end user, so again, like the first and foremost important thing that people should look at, even if they are not looking at currently, is location in real estate, right? So they shouldn't be compromising on location, I believe. But if they're okay to compromise on location, even then, if let's say with work from home, and maybe it's just uh, people who are retired and then they just want to have a chill life outside the city and things like that, maybe they can look at location later on. But if in that case the space inside the home becomes much more important for them, and in India we have Vastu, which is of very much importance, and people give it a lot more value than lot other things. more than the kind of tiles that is used and things like that. And of course, if you're looking in the primary market, it's important that they start looking at reputed brands where it's still an investment. A home is still an investment, even though you can say that a home cannot be, you know, looked at something that you can liquidate in terms of emergency and things like that, because you still need a place to stay at. But it's still important that you invest in a place which you can call an asset and liquidate if necessary.
Okay, so what are those homes which give better investment results? Like let's say there will be certain properties which appreciate more in value. There are certain properties which are just, like normal apartments. They don't really appreciate a lot in value. So what are those factors that will, increase the value of a home?
Generally, it's a no-brainer that you buy a plot of land and you construct something of your own there that has the most value, because uh, land is in demand always, and land is in a limited supply,
Mhm.
at least in a specific location, right? Land is available everywhere, but then, like, with respect to a specific location, it's in limited supply. So you would see the maximum appreciation and resale opportunities on buying a specific piece of plot and building on it. But it's becoming more unaffordable for people to buy a piece of land and construct. So if then you are looking at
Yes,
apartments,
yes.
you should still, go for good locations only, because that will help drive good locations and good brands again. That
So
will help.
brands are
Yes,
important. So let's say a
that will help.
Prestige is better than something else, for example.
Yeah, for example, but
Okay.
I wouldn't take names, but still,
Okay.
you know, uh, going for the brands that you know in the market, reputed and have a proven track record of construction. Or if it's, let's say, a new developer who is coming out but has something to prove, saying that okay, I've done this model unit, and it looks like this. This is the construction that we are following. They have a reputed construction partner, funding partner, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
where you know that the project is still going to get completed on time and in
Okay.
the promised quality and things like that. You should go for such properties instead of just compromising on some 10 lakhs. That's where we see people doing a lot of making a lot of wrong decisions. So a property costs some 2 cr, so at the last leg they're like, okay, 1.9 cr someone is able to get give a better unit elsewhere and things like that, but that 10 lakhs can cost you a lot more later on, if
Mm-hmm.
because you want to resell it, it's going to be a hassle. So
Okay. So buy
so
trusted brands,
yeah,
basically.
buy
That's the.
trusted brands in good locations for appreciation. But as an end user also, you can still live in it and be able to get good appreciation. But if you're looking at just appreciation, yeah, buying anything outside the city in terms of upcoming areas where the government infrastructure projects are going towards, so you look for plotted developments there, or you look for apartment launches there specifically, not
Mm-hmm.
something under construction or ready to move in, but rather the launch itself, and then you
Mm-hmm.
enter the market. At that point you will be able to make a good appreciation, because a lot more population will be put there by the government itself. I mean, their
Okay.
projects will, and the jobs will move there, and people will start moving to those specific areas. For example, in Bangalore we have Bangalore North close to airport,
Mm-hmm.
and upwards from Yelahanka, so where people are buying a lot of inventory today.
So you spoke of making returns during launch phase and, like let's say ready to move in. So are people making money by buying at launch phase and selling off at ready to move in phase?
See, of course, what happens is that a construction project of an apartment, let's take apartments for discussion. So, an apartment project will typically take 3 to 4 years for for completion, right? And in the meanwhile, you have a lot of projects that are set to complete. Some roads that will happen. Metro is still under construction in Bangalore in some areas, so those things will come up. So there is automatically a market appreciation, and this appreciation is better than the appreciation that you get in a already developed market, micro market,
Yep.
right? And so along with that, the developer always gives inventory at the best prices during the pre-launch
Pre-launch. Okay, so
pre-launch or
what
the
is
launch.
pre-launch? Like,
Pre-launch is basically the time when the the project is officially not launched, but
Okay.
just after getting the RERA till the time that the units are officially allocated
Oh,
on
so you
paper.
can buy that time also.
Yeah, you can buy that
Okay.
time as well. Basically, you give out something called expression of interest,
Okay.
and that's where you get the best rates, and developers give it to you at a good discounted rates as well. Let's say 1,000 units are launched, and 600 are sold during pre-launch and launch, whatever it may be, and the rest of the 400 units, let's say they take some time and they phase it out to sell some even during ready to move in phase to get a good size of the profits for themselves, even if the developer does that. So when through this process they will appreciate their inventory at some 10-12% per year.
Okay.
So automatically by the 4-year timeline, your inventory that you have purchased will have gained minimum 40% appreciation as well. So
Okay.
and inventories for end users in a upcoming market are generally more in demand during the ready to move in phase, because people are moving to that space with creation of jobs and things like that. So with people wanting to move to a specific location, your ready to move in can be sold at 40-50% appreciation on your purchase price.
Okay, but I've also heard certain scenarios wherein the builder will restrict the sales, like for someone who has bought at launch
Yeah,
phase, do they end up restricting the sale during the ready to move in phase?
see, it is not typically restricted during the ready to move in phase, but what happens is during the construction phase, there are clauses, where it states like 70% payment is to be done, 80% payment is to be done. Only after that you can
Only
exit.
after that you can
Yeah,
sell it.
only after that you
Okay,
can
so it
exit.
depends on the payment, like depends on how much you have paid for it. Okay.
Depends on the payment, depends on the stage of construction, depends on the payment plan. Of course, we've even seen instances where it's only a 20-80 payment plan. 20% is paid by the client, but 3 years down the line, so 80% during possession is what is to be paid.
Oh,
And
okay.
even at that point, you can still exit without paying anything more.
Just
I mean,
sell
there is a
get the
transfer fee.
upside.
Yeah,
Okay.
there is a transfer
Okay.
fee that they charge,
Okay.
something about 200 rupees per square feet that they charge the seller,
Okay.
who was the original buyer from the developer, right? But you would have made some, let's say you buy at 6,000, 7,000 rupees per square feet, you exit at some 9,000 rupees, you're still paying only 200 rupees more, but then you would have only paid 20% of the property cost, and the difference amount is purely your profit. You would have made some 100 to 120% returns in terms of your investment. There are some nice deals available in the market time to time. It's
Okay.
important to, if you're an investor, it's important to.
So how does an investor get access to those kind of deals?
That's where we come in, realtors.
Okay. Fair enough. But one more question: do all realtors have access to this?
Yeah, of course. So
Okay.
it's a very valid question. All realtors have access, but you know, as long as they are performing,
Okay.
as long as they are performing,
Oh.
because for a developer to constrict or restrict the information going out to realtors is quite possible. They can give it out only to their top 5 performing teams and withhold information at least for a couple of months, right? So that's where the realtors who aren't performing lose out, and their clients also lose out on those deals, sweet deals. So yeah, you as a client also, you should basically be associating with good names in terms of realtors, I believe. Yeah. That's when you get to access these sweet deals.
Okay, that means information is gold in some way.
Yeah, information is good.
So now that we have covered quite a bit of common ground about the market and about real estate and homes in general. So let's say that I want to buy a home in Bangalore. This is my city. I want to buy a home. So walk me through what would be the registration, what would the stamp duty, and things like that. And then typically, what are the, let's say you talk about like the maintenance part also as a percentage of the home after someone buys an apartment or a like say gated community or whatever. So what are those kind of things?
So, in terms of buying a home, yeah, we've also seen that people don't account for a lot of expenditure when it comes to the maintenance, when it comes to the registration costs and things like that when buying a home, because not everyone goes for a loan, right? So some people would have some gains from selling a property and things like that, and that's how they go for a home buying, journey. So it's important that they first understand every single cost. So till the last leg, including interiors and furnitures. Everything needs to be understood and put on paper, and only then they back trace to what is their budget of the home. And in terms of stamp duty, after you buy a home and your registration, I mean the project is complete, you're going for registration today. Currently the rate set by the government in Karnataka, in Bangalore, is 6.65%. Everything put together, it comes to that. So you have registration, stamp duty, and cess. So all put together, it works to 6.65. This is for the uh, you know the average home, but of course you have a different slab for something less than 45 lakhs in the affordable segment and things like that. It's
Okay.
slightly on the lower side in terms of registration cost. But with respect to the maintenance, you can't really put a percentage there. It's more a per square feet rate. So it can be something like 4 rupees per square feet, 6 rupees per square feet in terms of luxury properties, affordable properties, 3 rupees per square feet, because there are a lot of amenities available in the premises, right? Available in the project. So to maintain all those, you will be paying those as well. So let's say, yeah, I've seen this happening. So some client was looking at a property worth 6.5 CR. They had to do the flooring by themselves. It's a bare shell unit.
Yeah.
Basically, they have to do the flooring by
I
themselves.
think most apartments come as bare shells, mostly.
No, most apartments come as unfurnished, meaning
Just the flooring.
yeah,
like
flooring is done,
walls,
and then
windows.
windows are done, doors are done, and your toilet fittings are done,
Okay.
bath fittings are done. So this is how it generally comes in the Bangalore market. But there are some luxury offerings which come as completely bare shell.
Okay.
So meaning there's nothing.
Yes.
So it's just columns and beams and walls. So you
Yes.
can still, in
I
some
think you just
projects,
have
break
windows.
down.
That's all. Like
Yeah.
maybe just windows. Yeah.
So the external facade cannot be touched, so you have windows, but then like your flooring can be completely customized. You can move some walls and things like that. So there is a lot of expenditure that goes on to that as well. And the when we are talking about a luxury product like that, the cost of furnishing goes drastically higher, because you don't see them using 100 rupees per square feet granite.
Correct.
So they also, even in terms of the luxury segment, the customer needs to understand what exactly they are involved in and then go for it, because their monthly maintenance, if I have to talk about, for a property that was about 7 CR, I've seen the monthly maintenance bill working out to be something like 40 to 45,000 rupees per month, and people are paying EMIs worth that much to own a 2
Own a
BHK
home.
home. And then there is another set of clients who are paying just 45,000 rupees monthly maintenance for their 3 BHK apartment. So it's important to understand where you are able to what you are able to shell out as well. Because for a small 1,200 square feet 2 BHK or 3 BHK apartment, if we are talking about 4 rupees including GST, that works out to 5,000 rupees. And for someone who is making about 80,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees, even that adds up to their expenditure, 5,000 rupees extra maintenance.
Correct.
So yeah,
Correct.
they need to look at the size of apartment and also look at their maintenance and understand what exactly they can handle. Yes.
Okay. But in general, I think, do people end up overspending for their home?
Almost always.
Always. Like
Almost
what is
always.
how much more than their budget? Let's say I have 1 CR for a home, including everything. Let's say, just for example. So what percentage, like how much more would I end up spending?
See, some people are smart by understanding their finances, in terms of understanding their finances, and they first get a pre-approval from the bank as to what is their loan and what is their deposit that they have in hand, what is their interior. They do the homework, okay, and they generally don't overspend.
Okay.
These guys don't overspend, and they would actually, to us realtors and builders, they would quote lesser, meaning they would state at their budgets lesser. So if their budget is, for example, 1.5, they'll tell us 1.3, so
Okay.
that when that stretch comes, they can comfortably stretch because they know their finances. But otherwise, it's the people who come with ready funds. Generally, you see businessmen or people who have sold their properties. These guys tend to overspend more. Or
I think that's mostly tax. Like, I mean, if you're looking at someone who has sold equity in a startup,
yes,
and he has a lot of money, and maybe instead of
see, that is like
paying that capital gains tax,
that is not overextending their budget. That is like completely going for an ultra luxury property, right?
Yeah.
That is a completely different discussion. But with respect to someone who is looking at a 1.5 CR
Yeah.
home on their salary, if
Mhm.
they don't have pre-approval, or if they don't understand how much loan they are eligible for, what EMI they can pay, and things like that, I've seen people who are looking at a 2.25 CR home, then they can only actually afford 2.05.
Okay.
Even 20 lakhs, they can fall off. 10 lakhs, they can fall off. They're not
Okay.
able to make that purchase because they have already looked at the wrong properties. So
Mhm.
now they're, it's become an aspirational product for them.
So with this, we are getting almost to the end of the podcast, and it has been quite insightful and learned a lot while by talking to you. But there are some things that are decisions which are close to heart.
Correct.
Let's talk about this whole buy versus rent game. I mean, I do understand that different people have different priorities in terms of like how much they can spend on EMIs or whether the EMIs match their
Rental, yes.
the rental or whatever, right? So in your experience, what have you seen people do?
See, like you rightly asked, it's a more emotional decision with which people go for a home buying process in India, at least, right? So, in terms of finance, most of the time it doesn't make sense when you start comparing your rental versus buying scenario, because the rental yield in Bangalore market typically works at something between 2.5 to 4% maximum. In a very good property, it's
Just
4%.
four
Yes.
percent.
So
Even if I construct a home, like buy a land and yeah, I think it's typically we have done recently.
yeah, we
Yeah,
can only look at that
yes,
percentage because you can't charge for the land. So
correct,
your construction cost is where you recover some 8
correct,
9%. So
correct.
when you count
Overall, yeah,
your
it's nothing.
50% 40% of the land cost, then overall it again works out to 3.5 4%.
Correct.
So that's what you end up earning as rental. So in a market like that, basically that means that renting is cheaper than owning a home. But owning a home is for the rainy day, right? So it can even stand generations.
Mm-hmm.
So your family can always be there. It's home. It's called a home for that reason. But with respect to the financial aspect, of course, renting is cheaper. But as long as you have the capacity to pay your rent and still pay EMI for some other property that you want to own to make an investment, you can also look at that option where you stay in a considerably uh, comfortable place, but not plush, not not luxurious. You are okay with that lifestyle or something like that. You aren't overspending unnecessarily, something like that. You stay in a decent place, but then you are also investing in an apartment or a land elsewhere from your earnings. If you're able to do that, that's, I feel, the best way you can have of both worlds, right? You have the best of both. You pay lesser on rent and you are still able to own a property. But if you can still only pay once and not twice, then it's, in my opinion, always better to own a home for the rainy day. Yes.
I think there's one more aspect to this with respect to the flexibility part.
Right.
Like when you decide that you have to buy a home and you sign a EMI for 20 years, that time the flexibility of you like like easily getting away from that decision won't be there, right? So I think for people who are more who want to be more, what do you say, free in their lives, I think even now, I mean, recently I'm seeing people that although they can afford to buy a home, they don't buy a home. They just want to live in a rented place and keep the flexibility that okay, fine, tomorrow if I want to just like change a city, go elsewhere, I won't have any like headache to leave Bangalore or something like that. So do you see that also happening?
See, that always happens because people are migrating more and more here and there, and like
Mm-hmm.
the stickiness to cities have reduced with the kind of jobs that we have today.
Correct.
We are not working around industries. Typically, not all of
Correct.
the population is working around government-based industries and infrastructures. It's rather more IT today, AI, something else like so. Even moving cities, moving countries. So when this happens, the stickiness to the city reduces drastically, and buying a home can typically be almost senseless.
Okay.
because people would buy and they move out in like 1.5 years to some other country,
Correct.
and they live there for 10 years and they come back and they've been paying EMI all this while. Capital appreciation. So you still get to earn good capital appreciation even if you are not living in the same city and you are moving out of the country and things like that. And let's say someone buys a property in Bangalore on EMI and later works in US for a decade or two and then comes back, they would had made a built a property that they can either come back to stay at or liquidate for their future, right? And so they would have made a good capital appreciation on that as well. And people miss out on uh, you know the but there is this aspect where you don't have to spend on the maintenance and things like that when you rent a place instead of buy a home. But if you have good income, if you are able to afford it, it's always better to buy something in real estate. Okay, not your home, like I said, you can
Rental
rent,
home to
you
buy
can
and rent out,
yes.
maybe get returns out of it. And in your view, what do you think is the percentage of people who buy all cash or all equity, whereas the people versus the people who go for debt?
That's a very tricky question because
Okay. Okay, in
in
India, is there some data that says something like this?
there must be data. I am
Okay.
unfortunately unaware of that data, but
Okay.
at this moment. But I feel that India typically is a more debt-driven market right now
Mm.
with respect to property purchases, with respect to developers and things like that,
Okay.
primary market or even secondary market to an extent. But in the luxury segment, we don't see much loans. In the
Okay.
luxury segment, it's all
It's all
their
cash
earnings,
and
their
all
cash. They
cash.
don't
Okay.
want to technically tell you where exactly it's coming from, but yeah, it's all their savings and earnings and investments and gains that they would have made in the past and things like that in the luxury segment. But in the affordable segment, it's majorly home loans that are
Majorly
driving the
home loans.
market. Yes.
Okay. So people generally go for long-term home loans.
Yeah, of course.
Long term.
20 to 30 years, 2 to 3 decades, comfortably pay up. So that's how they would have, you know, in their 8 to 10 years of initial career, they would have made some savings and put that down as deposit and initial deposit, right? Booking and things like that, 20%, and the rest of the 80% is covered by the home loan. And maybe in cases where family is able to support a bit, they'll go for 50% loan
Mm-hmm.
and 30% from family, 20% from their pocket, things like that.
So this is something that we had spoken about before. The idea of buying a piece of land, constructing your own house, versus buying a ready-made product like an apartment or a villamint and a developed project, basically. So how do you think the current market looks at it? And do your clients consider, you know, do they consider that AB seriously? Like, I mean, are they hell bent on apartments, or have they considered this aspect as well?
Yeah, that's I think one of the most important questions, and uh, based on which the judgment should be made for a client in today's market, in my personal opinion, actually. So when you're talking about a plot, a piece of land that you can buy and construct on it, I think in real estate the location majorly matters, right? And especially with how much our cities are getting congested every day, the roads are getting congested every day, the kind of infrastructure that the old parts of Bangalore or any city for that matter tend to have, it's important to understand that in depth instead of going for a bad location just because you can get a plot for a cheaper rate and construct on that, right? So what happens is that you might end up spending the same amount of money for getting an independent house, but you'll affect your quality of living drastically.
Okay.
There are a lot of other challenges come along with it. Something like the kind of chores that you would have in that vicinity,
Yeah.
the kind of neighbors that you would have in that vicinity. All people are equal, but then the kind of
The
lifestyle
quality of
you
life,
will
basically. Yeah.
want would be different from what
Okay.
you will get into. So if you have uh, found a plot of land or a piece of land where you feel that the neighbors, the stores, the location, the convenience, everything, right, be it as simple as taking out your car or parking it in. So as simple as that is important today. But when you're looking at developed projects like apartments and villaments or villas, so there you have these things going much easier for you, at least once you enter the project.
With this, Prasanna, we come to the final part of our podcast, wherein I will let you introduce yourself thoroughly to our audience and let them know how you can help them in all their home hunting journeys.
Thank you for the opportunity, Karthik. Hi everyone, this is Prasanna again, Realtor Atreya. So I assist home buyers in Bangalore looking at luxury end use apartments or villas or villaments. Apart from that, I also assist investors in investing in the right properties in developing micro markets of Bangalore. Goa holiday homes is also something that I'm looking at. And recently, for the last 10 months, what I've also started doing is, assisting investors from India invest in the Dubai real estate market, which is the current booming market globally for real estate.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you, Prasanna. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for coming. I
Thank you,
hope you
Karthik.
had a good time.
Absolutely, it was fun. I'm actually, kind of upset that it's ending. Let's do this again maybe sometime. We'll
Yes.
we'll we'll understand from you about your work as well next time.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
sure. That'll be fun as well. I've
Sure.
never been interviewed. Nice.
Not
One.
by your wife also.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but yeah, like on a public platform.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Got it. Cool. Cool. See you. See you guys.
See ya.